Hello students, this is part 10 of chapter motion class 9th physics. In our previous part we have learnt about uniform circular motion. So uniform circular motion is that type of motion in which an object is moving along a circular path around a fixed point with a constant speed. Mind here students, I am saying with constant speed, not constant velocity. Why? Because we know that in uniform circular motion, the object is continuously changes his direction of motion at every instant of time. And if direction of motion is changing, then the velocity is also changing. Because we know that velocity is a vector quantity. Now if velocity is changing, then there must be an acceleration, because acceleration is defined as the rate of change of velocity. It means we can say that in uniform circular motion there is an acceleration. That's why uniform circular motion is called accelerated motion. So the acceleration in uniform circular motion is known by a particular name, centripetal acceleration. And this acceleration is always along the radius of the circular path towards the center of the circle. Now, let us suppose this is the circular path along which the object is moving with a constant speed. Now, if we choose a point A, then can you tell me what will be the direction of motion of the object at this point A? The direction of motion at this point A will be in a straight line along the tangent at the point A, as you can see here. The direction of motion of the object at this point A is along the tangent in a straight line along the tangent. If we choose another point B, then again the direction of motion of the object at this point is in a straight line along the tangent at this particular point B. In the same way, we can also choose a point C, and there is another direction which is along the tangent at the point C. So from this it is clear that the object is continuously changes its direction of motion. Okay. Now if the direction of motion is changes, then there must be a acceleration because velocity is changing. And that acceleration is centripetal acceleration. Now let us see what will be the direction of centripetal acceleration at the point A. So we see that it is along the radius of this circular path and towards its center. Okay. In the same way, we can also draw for the point B. So from this diagram, it is clear that if this purple line represents the direction of tangent and this orange line represents the centripetal acceleration's direction, then it is clear that both are perpendicular to each other, because there is an angle of 90 degree between the centripetal acceleration and direction of motion. So we can conclude that in uniform circular motion, the acceleration and direction of motion are perpendicular to each other. Now students, there is a table showing the difference between uniform linear motion and uniform circular motion. So uniform linear motion, as this term consists of two terms, uniform motion and linear motion. Linear motion means when an object is traveling along a straight line, and uniform motion means object is covering equal distance in equal interval of time. In other words, we can say the object has constant speed. So uniform linear motion is that type of motion in which an object is traveling along a straight line in a given direction with constant speed. While uniform circular motion is that type of motion in which object is moving along a circular path around a fixed point with constant speed. Now the second difference is the direction of motion does not change, as it is obvious. Why? Because in uniform linear motion, object is moving in a given direction along a straight line. But in uniform circular motion, we know that the direction of motion is changes continuously. That's why it is also known as an accelerated motion. Again, the third difference is speed as well as velocity remains unchanged and there is no acceleration. Now we know in uniform linear motion the object is moving with constant speed, so speed is not going to change. And also velocity is not changing. Why? Because we know that velocity needs two things. One is speed and another is direction. Now in uniform linear motion, both the speed as well as direction are constant. Hence, the velocity is also not changing in uniform linear motion. And if velocity is not changing, then there is no acceleration. Hence, we can say that in uniform linear motion, speed as well as velocity and also acceleration is not changing. While in uniform circular motion, we know that direction of motion is changes continuously, and if direction of motion is changing, then we can say velocity is changing. And if velocity is changing, then there must be an acceleration. So we can say that in uniform circular motion, speed remains constant because the object is moving with constant speed, but because of change in direction, velocity is changing, and hence there is also an acceleration as the velocity is changing. So here is our first problem. An artificial satellite is moving in a circular orbit of radius 42,250 km. Calculate its speed if it takes 24 hours to revolve around the earth. It means in the question it is given that there is a satellite which is revolving around the earth in a circular orbit of radius 42,250 km, and in order to complete one revolution it takes 24 hours around the earth. Now let us suppose this blue sphere represents the earth and there is a circular orbit around the earth. Now let us suppose the satellite is moving in this circular orbit of radius given as 42,250 km. Now let us collect all the information which are given in this question. So here we have radius of circular orbit given as 42,250 km. Again it is given in kilometer, which is not a SI unit. So first of all we have to convert this distance into meter. So we can write 42,250 km equals to 42,250 into 1000 meter, because we know 1 kilometer is equals to 1000 meter. Again the revolution period is given as 24 hours, and again we know that hours is not a SI unit, so we have to convert it into second. So 24 hour can be written as 24 into 60 into 60 second, because each hour contains 60 minutes and each minute contains 60 seconds. Now we have the proper value of distance and time, so we can write speed of satellite as distance covered in one revolution, because it takes 24 hours to complete one revolution. So the distance covered in one revolution upon time period. Now this orbit is circular, so the total distance covered by the satellite in order to complete one revolution is equals to circumference of this circle, which can be written as 2 pi r. So we can write the speed of satellite as 2 pi r upon capital T, where r is the radius of this circular orbit. Again by putting the values, we can write v is equals to 2 into, in place of pi we can write 22 by 7, and into, in place of r we have 42,250 into 1000, and capital T can be replaced by 24 into 60 into 60, and unit of this speed is meter per second. So by calculating this, we have speed of the satellite as 3.07 into 10 to the power 3 meter per second, or we can also say that 3.07 kilometer per second. Now our next problem is AB is the velocity time graph for motion of an object, as you can see in the figure. Now what is the nature of the motion? Find the value of acceleration and total distance covered by the object. So from this graph, it is clear that this is the velocity time graph, and also AB represents a straight line. So we know that when the velocity time graph for motion of an object is a straight line, then it represents an uniformly accelerated motion. But also you can see that the line is sloping downwards. Sloping downwards means initially it has higher velocity and after some time its velocity is decreased. It means that we can say the object is slowing down. And also we know that when the object is slowing down, then it has a negative acceleration. So from this given graph, we can conclude that the graph AB represents uniformly accelerated motion with a negative acceleration. Again, we have to calculate acceleration with the help of this given graph. And for acceleration, we need change in velocity. So from this graph, it is clear that the initial velocity at time t is equal to 0 second is given as 8 meter per second. And finally, the object comes to rest. So we can say that final velocity is given as 0 at time t is equals to 12 second. So we can write initial velocity u is equals to 8 meter per second, final velocity v is equals to 0, and in the time interval of t is equals to 12 second. So we know the formula of acceleration is v minus u upon t. So putting all this value in this equation, we have in place of v 0 minus 8 upon, in place of t we can write 12, which comes out to be acceleration is equals to minus 2 upon 3 meter per second square, and it is also written as minus 0.67 meter per second square. Now let us try to find the distance covered by the object with the help of this graph. Now students, you know the area under the velocity time graph gives the magnitude of displacement or total distance covered by the object. So we can write distance covered by the object is given by area under this graph, that is area of the triangle OAB, which is a right angle triangle. In this right angle triangle, you can see OA represents the perpendicular and OB represents the base. And we know the area of right angle triangle is half base into height. So it can be written as half into OA into OB, which comes out to be half into magnitude of OA is 8 meter per second and OB is equals to 12. So we have half into 8 meter per second into 12 second. After calculating, we have distance covered by the object is equals to 48 meter. Now our next problem is given as a driver of a car traveling at 52 km per hour applies the brakes and accelerates uniformly in the opposite direction. The car stops in 5 seconds. Another driver going at 3 km per hour in another car applies his brakes slowly and stops in 10 seconds. On the same graph paper, plot the speed versus time graph for the two cars. Which of the two cars traveled farther after the brakes were applied? So let us say these two cars as car 1 and car 2 and try to collect all the information regarding these two cars. So for car 1, we have initial velocity as u1 given as 52 km per hour, but it is given in kilometer per hour, so we have to convert it into meter per second. And you know, whenever we have to convert kilometer per hour into meter per second, we just multiply it by 5 by 18. So we can write u1 is equals to 52 km per hour into 5 by 18 meter per second, which comes out to be 14.4 meter per second. So it is given that at time t is equals to 0 second, the initial speed, that is u1, is equals to 14.4 meter per second for the car first. Again, we know that the car stops in 5 seconds. It means we can say the final velocity of the car 1, v1 is equals to 0 at time t is equals to 5 seconds. Now let us see for car second. For car second, initial speed, say u2, is given as 3 km per hour because initially the other car is traveling at the speed of 3 km per hour. Again it is in kilometer per hour, so we just multiply it by 5 by 18 to convert it into meter per second, which comes out to be 0.83 meter per second. So we have at time t is equals to 0 second, initial speed of the car second is given as u2 is equals to 0.83 meter per second. Again this car also stops in 10 seconds. So we can say the final velocity, that is v2 of the car 2, is also 0 after a time t is equals to 10 seconds. Regarding this information, let us draw the table for the car 1 and car 2. So for car 1, we have the following table. This table shows that at time t is equals to 0 second, the car 1 has a speed of 14.4 meter per second, and after 5 seconds the car stops, so its speed becomes 0. Let us say there are 2 points A1 and B1. The point A1 corresponds to time t is equals to 0 and velocity 14.4 meter per second, and point B1 corresponds to time 5 second and velocity 0. So let us represent these points on the graph. So we have the following graph. You can see the point A1 is represented here and the corresponding point B1 is represented on the below side. So when we join these 2 points, we get the corresponding graph for the car 1. In the same way, for the car 2, we have the following table. At time t is equals to 0 second, the speed is 0.83 meter per second, and at time t is equals to 10 second, the speed is 0. So let us choose another 2 points A2 and B2 corresponding to this table. We have A2 as time t is equals to 0 and 0.83 meter per second, and B2 for time t is equals to 10 second and speed 0. So again we plot these 2 points on the graph. As you can see, A2 is represented on the below side and B2 is on the time axis. Now again when we join these 2 points, we have the corresponding graph for the car 2. From this graph, it is clear that the line A1 B1 represents the graph for car 1 as written here, and line A2 B2 represents the graph for car 2. Now you know that area under the velocity time graph gives us the magnitude of displacement or total distance covered by an object. So distance traveled by the car 1 is equals to area of the triangle OA1 B1. And again OA1 B1 is a right angle triangle in which OA1 represents the height and OB1 represents the base. So area of triangle OA1 B1 can be written as half of OA1 into OB1, and we have the value of OA1 as 14.4 meter per second and value of OB1 as 5 second. So we can write half of 14.4 into 5, which comes out to be 36 meter. Hence, the distance travelled by the car 1 is equals to 36 meter after the brakes were applied. In the same way, distance travelled by the car 2 can be written as area of the triangle OA2B2. OA2B2 is the right angle triangle in which OA2 represents the height and OB2 represents the base. So area of triangle OA2B2 is written as half of OA2 into OB2. We have the value of OA2 as 0.83 meter per second and OB2 as 10 second. So it can be written as half of 0.83 into 10, which comes out to be 4.15 meter. So we can say the distance travelled by the car 2 is 4.15 meter after the brakes were applied. So from these two data, it is clear that the distance travelled by car 1 is more than the distance travelled by car 2 after the brakes were applied. Now students, these are some questions for practice which you must solve, and in our next part we will see some more questions from the chapter motion. Thank you students.